let's now go across to our guests. I'm joined in by retired Commodore D.S. Sodhi, former Indian Navy officer. I also have retired Wing Commander Praful Bakshi, former IAF officer. And with me is also retired Brigadier Rajan Jamwal, defense expert, and former IAF officer, Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran. Thank you very much to you all for joining us, and a very happy Independence Day to you all. Let me start with retired Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran. Wing Commander, Prime Minister Modi has given a long address, spoken for almost 1.5 hours. He's given a message to all in India, from youth to women, given the clarion call for Sapta Dhara vision. What are your key takeaways from Prime Minister's address today on 80th Independence Day?
At the outset, I would first extend my greetings to my fellow countrymen and to my fellow panelists. It's a matter of great honor for me today to have got this platform and being able to convey my greetings. At the same time, I welcome the Prime Minister's clarion call. He has been doing that now as a serving Prime Minister for the longest period in Indian history. I hope that he serves for a much longer time, as much as he could, and India needs very strong leadership. At the same time, we are in a period of very turbulent times. Remember, the cockroaches were just about 100 feet from the parliament, which is the temple of our democracy, which is what we are celebrating today. And we need to introspect. The Prime Minister, along with his cabinet committee on security, needs to have a solid introspection. Those who don't learn by history are condemned to live by it. We know this. And why I am saying this is, I will take you back 1,000 years back, when Prithviraj Chauhan pardoned Gori multiple times. I don't know if it is 17, if it is 5. There are multiple historic, the number is not important. But when Gori, conquered Prithviraj Chauhan, he didn't give him one chance. That is what India needs to keep in its mind today. If these cockroaches could go 100 feet away from the parliament, we must have our alarm bells sounded. This is unprecedented in the history of India. There is a psychological operation which is being waged on the generation next. I wouldn't want to, brand the entire generation next into one brush. But at the same time, we need to understand that there is a kind of warfare that is playing on India, which India has, unfortunately, despite knowing fully well, not being prepared. And therefore, the Prime Minister, despite all those rhetorics, stands to be accountable, because at the end of the day, he's at the target. He needs to understand that. If we don't understand this, and where does this come from? Why am I saying so? It is coming from the fact that we are selling our information platforms for free. Today, Facebook determines which post of the Prime Minister reaches the people, which post reaches in what to what extent. And we are like helpless souls looking and asking for a sorry from a foreign media platform while they dictate the narrative. Today's Goris don't come with tanks and armored weapons to come and combat you. They come with information. They come with intelligence. The circus that is going on in the name of AI, PM needs to take stock of it. We are unfortunately not doing too well on that front. We may have launched a rocket into the space, but please understand that is the byproduct of what ISRO has done. We can keep patting our back on such things. But if we don't get our acts together, tomorrow these cockroaches could be sitting inside the parliament. We must also understand, before I come for the second time, I would like to, sum up saying some more things. There were people inside the parliament today asking the Home Minister who asked to order to fire the pellet guns. Now there is a counter question that comes. Why were the pellet guns fired? The pellet guns were fired because 2,800 mercenaries were let loose on the streets of Delhi. Who let them down? the very same people who are questioning the parliamentarian from inside the parliament, which means there are Jaichants who are willing to open the fort from within, which means that these pellet guns were not supposed to be fired, so that with the young, naive Gen Zs in the forefront, these mercenaries could go and attack. So you are damned if you do, if you are damned you are don't. You know,
All
that
right.
is the kind
All right.
of politics.
We'll extend that conversation. I also want to go now to Commodore Sodhi, who's here with us. Commodore Sodhi, Atmanirbharta in defense has been a recurrent theme of Independence Day and Prime Minister Modi's address. How close are we to it?
Well, first of all, my greetings to you, your channel, to the viewers, as well as to my co-panelists on this 80th Independence Day. So for us, you know, the self-reliance or Atmanirbhar, what we have spoken about, we are very clear that we have seen the defense has taken a big leap towards this aspect. If we talk of, you know, the ships in the Navy, the submarines in the Navy, similarly other equipment in the Army like tanks, the missiles, even in the Air Force, we have been now talking about making our own aircraft within the country, even the fighter jets. So a big leap has been taken in this sector, and we are proud that we are heading towards, I'll say, you know, self-reliance in this field. And for us, it's a matter of pride. With regard to what the Prime Minister has said today, he has again stressed on the need that we have to continue in this sector and to see to it that we are self-reliant. He has also spoken about and touched upon almost all the sectors, whether we talk of education, we talk of health, we talk of farming, and many others. So the statement which has come from the Prime Minister, they are welcome statement, and I'm sure that the way we are doing as of now, the country is going to progress ahead. Yes, we do have challenges, and I think even in those areas, whether the threat is from inside or it is from the outside, we are also taking note of that and preparing ourselves for any kind of misadventure, if at all it happens.
Yes. All right. We also have with us in the conversation Dr. Sharat Kohli has joined us as a senior economist. Dr. Kohli, very happy Independence Day to you. We're looking at Viksit Bharat in 2047. Where do we stand as of today? Prime Minister Modi has spoken of a lot of initiatives where he wants the participation of the Indians. He's also laid out several areas where we have excelled. We've launched a private rocket. The youth of India have gone. He's announced several schemes for Indians and for the students included. He's talked about manufacturing sector and why India is and shouldn't be in the Fortune 500 companies, Indian firms. What do you make of his address? And my primary question remains, how close to a Viksit Bharat are we?
Good morning, Kriti, to you, my fellow panelists and viewers, and a very happy Independence Day, the 80th one for that, to everyone who's able to see these visuals. I think if you summarize his speech, almost 80 to 90% was focused on economy matters, economic issues, talking of the economic progress which India has made over the last 12 years, and most importantly, his vision for 2047. Now, you see, 2047 is a year where India will complete 100 years of independence. So that was the mindset while this target was kept, that by the time we reach 100, we should become a developed nation. Now, let's just try and imagine what a developed nation looks like. I'm sure some of the people who are listening to me and you and the channel have already traveled to developed nations. I have traveled many times. Some of my fellow panelists, all of my fellow panelists, in fact, must have traveled. You know, where unemployment is negligible, poverty is negligible. I'm saying negligible. I'm not saying zero, because there is no country in the world where there is no unemployment, there is no poverty, and so on and so forth. I think it is the vision which matters. And the 12 years of progress which has been done so far, Kriti, I think that progress speaks for itself. So if this pace continues, well, I was from an economic point of view, I would say we need to grow at about 8 to 9%. But three very important rather segments, which I would like to highlight here, which would play a very significant role in our reaching that goal. And first is youth, because anyone who's born today would be 21 years of age at the time when country reaches 2047, which means he would have gone through his childhood, he would have finished his school education, he would probably have finished most part of his college education also. So I think it is that youth. Number two is women, half the population, but unfortunately contribution of women to the mainstream economy is barely 25 to 30%. So I think bringing women to the mainstream, which he did mention in, matters. Third is manufacturing. Well, a country of our scale, 140 to 45 crore people, we'll know the exact number next year. He did refer to the census also. He did refer to the way census should be carried on. He did refer to how people should play a role in completing this census accurately. I think manufacturing will play a big role, because the kind of employment that we need at this point of time, and one of the very important parameters, Kriti, as I said, for Viksit Bharat is that unemployment should be negligible. This is paramount. This is very, very important. So I think manufacturing needs a big push. And, he did speak of startups, 2.5 lakh startups today, which are registered, which are giving employment to people. But I come across very few. I'm a startup mentor as well, Kriti. So I can tell you the first-hand experience. A very few startups come to me where the young come and tell me that I want to set up a factory. Well, I think something drastic has to be done. Something very, very revolutionary has to be done. And I would like to invoke the China model here. We can always pick up good things from the neighbors who are mischievous, or for the neighbors who are not very, very friendly. What the Chinese government does is they handhold the youth. All you need to do is to show your willingness that, yes, I am willing to manufacture. Rest everything, Kriti, you will not believe, I've been to these places. Everything is taken care of by the government. So we have PLIs, the production-linked incentives, which are boosting manufacturing. But then hand-holding of the youth, when somebody says, yes, I want to set up a factory in small little garage of my home or a small little room, I think that person needs to be handheld. That financing, all resources, labor, capital, everything is taken care of by the government. I think something of that sort, that's an out-of-box thinking as far as manufacturing is concerned. Otherwise, manufacturing in our country, Kriti, and why I'm saying that? Because when these young startups, they come and speak to me, they want to get into, self-entrepreneurship, or they want to get into entrepreneurship, but they want to be aggregators. They want to set up an app. They want to set up something which is technology-based. But I'm telling you, ground-level growth of this country, Kriti, lies in factory setups, which unfortunately, a lot of youth are not coming forward. They don't get those valuations. So I think something out of the box, as I said, needs to be. These are the three pillars, which I feel, coming to your primary question, Kriti, which you asked me, that how far are we? And, let's be very realistic. 2047 is not a bull's eye. It could be 5 years before, it could be 5 years after. That is just a milestone here where we'll complete 100 years. So let's not exert pressure on our mind that 2047 is 2047. Who knows? We may be there in 2045 or 2042. So I think all-round development, which Prime Minister spoke of, is need of the hour. I mean, if I go on listing what all he said, probably I'll burn away the rest of the time of the other panelists also. But for me, these three pillars, youth, women, and manufacturing, I think these are the three engines which can really, really push us forward, and very quickly too, Kriti.
Right. Absolutely. I'm also, in fact, joined in now by senior journalists Gautam Mukherjee. I also have the editor of the Sunday Guardian, Ms. Joyita Basu, with us. Thank you to you both for joining us, and my greetings on the 80th Independence Day. But before I come to you, Brigadier Jamwal has been waiting with us. Brigadier Jamwal, we've spoken about how far are we from the Viksit Bharat vision, how much have we progressed in our defense self-reliance. But let's talk about how we have fared so far in the face of global challenges like COVID and more recently the West Asia crisis that Prime Minister Modi has also spoken about today. He said how there were naysayers. He said there were people who were trying to instill fear in the minds of Indians that diesel won't be available, petroleum will not be available. But we've sailed through without being severely impacted as the rest of the world may have. As a country, how resilient is India's foreign policy, and how would you assess our strategy through the West Asia crisis?
To begin with, wishing everybody a very happy Independence Day. Just point, what Kohli ji was telling about. Right now I'm in Seattle, US. I do not find, looking at it, much difference. The cost of living is much higher. The comfort level one sees. I find India is almost as developed. Yes, a couple of things, infrastructure. We are catching up. We are catching up fast. Look at the way our highways are coming up. Very similar to, what is existing here. And a lot of things. And plus, we have the advantage. We have the cost advantage. Everything you see, it is much more affordable. We have that inner advantage. So I would like to say that firstly, we are quite ahead. In fact, we underestimate ourselves. We underestimate that in that development ladder, probably far behind. We are not that far behind. Now coming to your specific questions, the defense manufacturing and other things. Yeah, long time back, 80s, 90s, we were fully dependent. Everything had to be come from abroad. It had to be imported. There were long licenses. It was a total permitrage, especially in defense manufacturing or defense procurement. All that has changed now. In fact, now anybody who wants to supply to defense forces has to have a certain amount of indigenous content. Even in complex items, you have to have a certain amount of this thing. And a large number of items have been already classified as purely indigenous. Only people with 100% Indian manufacturing can supply that. That obviously has made a lot of difference. And the Prime Minister, in his speech, like he did it for other this thing, he has rightly pointed out the right, areas of thrust. Like for defense, he said we need more hyper technology. He went for drones. He asked for counter drones. No, these are the emerging technologies we have seen make the effect. Whether it's the Ukraine war or the Iran war, wherever it is happening, these are the technologies. So it's not that he was speaking broadly. He has focused on things. Specific focus, and that is exactly what the nation wants. I am sure there are a lot of other things which can be done, but just plain data of the exports, the way they have grown, the multiple fold they have grown, and he mentioned right now we are exporting to 100 countries. Our defense projects. It is not only everybody talks about BrahMos and all. It is not only BrahMos. It is right from trucks, military trucks, to even submachine guns are now getting exported to various countries. So this is which was considered a taboo. For some reason, for 60, 70 years, we kept ourselves aloof. Things which have driven economies of countries like US for decades. We ourselves deliberately kept ourselves aloof. I do not know under what principles, why it was done. But the fact is, since we have opened up, it has opened up in a great way, and I'm sure a lot of things are coming. Now, coming to your Iran question, we have played brilliantly. A lot of people thought we are on the defensive, especially when Chabahar issue happened, this thing. Today, apart from the US Navy, which works outside the missiles range of Iran, ours is the only Navy which is present right at the mouth of and inside the Gulf of Oman. We are physically escorting our cargo ships. This thing. We are the only country which has this thing. And it is not only the INS Vikrant is there. It is the complete carrier battle group is operating there. And it is not a function of simply a defense process. It is also our diplomatic success that we are operating there, and nobody has a problem with that. Now that itself is a grand success. So I see the whole policy. When everybody is crying, fuel prices have gone up, multifarious times all over the world. Here, we have had the impact, but it has been minimal impact. So I think even economically, things have been beautifully managed, and this is what can expect from the leadership. So in my view, we are growing great guns, and I'm sure the target of 2047, probably if the way things are moving, it will be achieved much before 47.
Yeah.
Yeah, over to you.
Well, yes, aiming to that. I also want to come now to Wing Commander Praful Bakshi. Wing Commander Bakshi, we had our expert S. Sudhakaran talking about the challenges that we've seen in the recent times from the youth of the country, cockroaches, just 100 feet from the parliament, 100 meters from the parliament. But we can also use that in our advantage. India has a demographic dividend that it can boost off, it can boast of, but what really needs to be done, you know, to channelize their energy, as the Prime Minister also called for, in the direction that benefits the nation?
Thank you very much, Kirit, for having me on your nice show. My salutations to my nation on the Independence Day and my co-panelist. Let me tell you one thing. Prime Minister Modi has brought India into an era which India never dreamt of. It's just we have stepped into a golden era, but very few people don't realize it. They are the naysayers. We don't have to bother about them. Prime Minister Modi absolutely was very clear in the entire cross-section of development of the nation, whether it was domestic, whether it was security, whether it was industry, whether it was indigenization, whether it was women development, banking, youth, sports, say what you may. Everything he covered, and let me tell you one thing, we are achieving in everything, including Commonwealth Games, including Olympics, planning of that by 2036, etc. Everything was brought out. But something was very strong in his mind, and that was the youth. He said that until and unless youth develops and youth takes over, as it was brought out just now, that the people will be 26 years old and 21 year old in 2047 or something like that. Yes, people will be 40, 50, 60, whatever the case may be. But the youth of today has to realize that the development which is taking place, they are the part of it. And that's why Prime Minister Modi and this government has started the indigenization process. The industrial development of the state, the defense industry, chain of defense industry in the state. What happens when these defense industries develop in the states like UP, like Tamil Nadu? What happens? The local industry gets into action, the local youth get into action, the local economic, the thinking, studies get into action, the education institutions get into action. Everything gets into that the frequency of development, and that's what it is. If you notice, when the HAL was made, how many people were affected by HAL in Bangalore? This is what I had seen it from my side, right from little child to an old man. They were involved in what is happening in HAL in a very small way, but yet it was there. This is what Prime Minister Modi has brought out. So he has talked of youth beautifully. He said youth will be employed in drone manufacture, training of drone, and counter drone. These aspects he brought out. And then he talked in terms of defense development. Yes.
All right.
Defense development was, he said that we have already achieved a remarkable production of 1.2 lakh crore already. And we have already decided to stop the imports. 5,500 items have been declared that they will not be part of the import, and they will be locally manufactured by the local industry. And here comes the first point. Local industry and the youth, again they come up. This is what is a far-fetching idea. And then we have to, and he pointed out that some technologies we still depend. So these have to be the core technologies will have to be developed, like engines, etc. Yes, Commodore Sodi brought out platforms made by Navy, very good. But the platforms, when they are being made by LCA, Vikrant, they all require engine, the power plant. And that is what the government has decided, that these core aspects like avionics, weapon acquisition, weapon launch systems, all these things which we are importing will be made locally. And the local industries, IIT, they all will be all involved in it. This aspect he brought out, and then he was very, very clear about women, development, banking system. And this is what he said, that more and more women, 33% of women will be in parliament.
Yeah.
This aspect is very, very remarkable, and it makes the Nari Shakti Vandan Bill stronger. So I must say, he covered security, he covered domestic industry, and then he covered the Naxal aspect. When our Honorable Speaker brought out the question of when they were 300 yards or 330 yards from Parliament, these people, that aspect has to be now curtailed. The security aspect has to be absolutely maintained. He brought out that more people, soldiers, police people have died in the security operations than the soldiers on the border. Yes, I agree. But question is, why should they die? Why should they die? Why should the person who is attacking the democracy die? This is what the question is. So I personally feel that Prime Minister Modi is very clear about it, that we will not tolerate any attack on our democratic ideals and democratic processes. This aspect is absolutely clear, and this raises the morale of the country. I personally feel that this aspect India had never heard. This we must hear again and again. And that is why Prime Minister Modi stands out in all the previous leaders. That's what he has said. Nobody has ever said. Yes, he also touched indigenization programs, indigenization C295, LCA, BrahMos, export of that. And then he said, the export, as we have touched a very high mark in exports, well exceeded, and the 23,000 crores we have exceeded. So this aspect, I personally feel, is again remarkable. And when we start, a country has to become strong, it has to be strong industrially. And a country which is strong industrially will be strong in the defense production. Take Germany, take France, First World War, Krups, all these industries were there. That's why the defense of those countries was strong.
All right, now I want to go to Ms. Joyita Basu as well. Ms. Basu, Prime Minister Modi has spoken very importantly about our fight against the Naxalism, Maoism, and how in these 12 years we are almost close to wiping out the problems of Maoism almost entirely. How would you qualify our fight? We recently, just yesterday, had also visuals of reformed Maoists, former Maoists, women performing at a fashion week. How do you see the government's fight?
Well, I would say the fight against, or rather, let's put it this way, the rehabilitation of the Maoist cadre. I mean, those who were, that has been quite remarkable. The progress has kind of, the reason that it happened, that they have been able to eradicate that corridor that existed from Tirupati to somewhere, Nepal, that kind of that Maoist corridor that was there. So I think that they have taken, let's put it this way, a lot of sacrifice had to be made in terms of security forces, even political leaders, and also I would say the common people. So many people have died because of these Maoists, and the kind of anarchy and mayhem and the kind of poverty that has been seen in those areas. The very fact that this problem has more or less been eliminated shows that development has started percolating to the ground also, although there's a very long way to go. And that's what, and the government and the state governments in particular, of course, will have to ensure that this problem does not revive. But what is more significant, and what was, I would say, more significant in the Prime Minister's speech was that, that Naxal mindset. When you have public figures, political leaders, maybe ex-political leaders, the so-called civil society, the faces of civil society, saying things like change will not come in this government, in this country through the ballot box, but from the streets. Well, that is the Naxal mindset. So that is something, think of doing something like this in the USA, saying something like this in the USA, and you will be branded as a quote unquote terrorist for the rest of your life. This is what what's his name? Sorry, this is what Donald Trump tried to do with the January 6th insurrection. Refused to listen to the ballot box, and he thought that he will kind of have a mass uprising and that kind of attacking their capital, and he will grab power. And that is what is being said. It is being said by so-called responsible people in India. You see, this is what is happening, and this is our biggest fear, that, this particular mindset, how much are they able to mislead people? Let's put it this way, the people who we call urban Naxals. Maybe the government has been able to eliminate the other of the Naxal movement, but what about the urban Naxals? And it's a serious problem.
All right, I now want to take our viewers through some of the big announcements that Prime Minister Modi has made in his address today. Let's take a look at those. Now, starting with the AI skill training program that he has announced for rupees 1 crore for the youth of India for a period of 1 year. So clearly, Prime Minister's focus has been on empowering the youth of the country. AI skill training program for 1 crore youth has been announced. Then he's also announced free online coaching scheme for students. This is a big one, of course. We've seen the youth protests lately, and how almost all youth in the country preparing for competitive exams are going to coaching centers, and this scheme coming at a time like this is of course going to be of big benefit to the students. Free online coaching scheme. Then he's also announced a talent hunt mission for children in the ages of 5 and 15 years for the 2036 Olympics. India is hosting the Olympic Games before that, and for the Olympics after that, 2036, Prime Minister Modi has announced that there's going to be a talent hunt for those children who play well, who have a talent of a sport. And moving ahead, he's also announced 5 new nuclear reactors and 100 gigawatts of nuclear energy. This target that will be achieved by 2047, 2021 years. 5 new nuclear reactors and nuclear energy. Then we are also looking at civil defense, a vibrant network, and a force to be created for that. 6 crore Lakpati Didi's mission, he's also announced that, and about 7 to 8 new semiconductor production plants in a period of just 1 or 2 years. 7 to 8 new semiconductor production plants in India. So these are some of the broad schemes that Prime Minister Modi has announced in today's address. Mr. Mukherjee, I want to come to you on these big announcements that the Prime Minister has made. What do you think are some of the most important ones, and how do you view the rolling out of these initiatives, their announcement today on Independence Day?
As far as Mr. Modi's vision and his plans go, they are impeccable. There is nothing that anybody in his right mind can find to criticize them. But we have got a situation in India today where more and more unrest and chaos is attempted to be generated by certain forces, both within the country and outside. You've had a shambles of a monsoon session with the government on the back foot, even though it's in a majority. It was unable or unwilling to stop the opposition from misbehaving in Parliament day after day for the entire session. There was some 10, 12 minutes of actual peace and quiet. They passed some innocuous bills. Everything else went on the back burner. Crores were lost. People are watching from abroad and they see a chaotic country getting more chaotic. We cannot dismiss this in the name of democracy, secularism, or any such thing. This is not convincing to right-minded people in this country or anywhere else. That means a direct hit on investment, both domestically from various sectors, except the government can always invest, but others will not, and neither will the foreigners. With this kind of scenario, you cannot go forward without massive obstruction, and that is what puts the lie to a lot of Mr. Modi's grand plans. He cannot execute if people are forever obstructing him and he does nothing about it. He mentioned urban Naxals. Now, a very militant, determined roundup of these people is necessary. The Maoist matter in the jungles and in central India, the Maoist corridor and so on, lasted decades because of lack of political will. At last, the Home Ministry did something about it, meant business, and it was wiped out. Same thing has to be done in the cities and in the provinces. The kind of indiscipline and bad behavior is making a mockery out of democracy. Now, our parliament doesn't function, our assemblies don't function, our streets don't function. People are able to say and do whatever they feel like. Anti-national statements are made, traitorous statements are made, anti-religious statements are made, and we watch. This is unacceptable, and Mr. Modi's government and future governments after Mr. Modi have to tackle this on war footing. I hate to say all this on the 80th anniversary of our independence, but you can't ignore this. This cannot be allowed because we cannot reach our objectives with all this obstruction.
Yes, okay. Let's now focus on some of the other big announcements that Prime Minister Modi has made. He's given a clarion call for the Sapta Sindhu vision. Let's take a look at these, if we can go full screen on the Sapta Sindhu mission that the Prime Minister has announced. We're looking at manufacturing power. Make in India a trusted global supply chain hub from components to complete products. Big focus of Prime Minister Modi in the years to come, especially in the near future, the Sapta Sindhu. Number one of it is the manufacturing power. Then we are also looking at agriculture and food products, where Prime Minister's focus, of course, has been on expanding food processing and taking Indian millets, spices, fruits and other agricultural products to global markets. And then we also have technology and innovation as one of it, making India a global hub for AI, quantum technology, space, robotics, data centers and next generation communication centers. big focus there on technology and innovation as well, of course. And then we're looking at Gati Shakti, including connectivity and infrastructure, building seamless connectivity through high-speed rails, modern highways, airports, multimodal logistics and ports. This is going to be the focus under the Gati Shakti vision, under the Sapsindhu mission that he's announced. And then defense power, of course, achieving self-reliance in defense, developing next-generation defense technologies, and making India a global defense supplier. A recurrent theme. And then also there's focus on green and blue economy that India, of course, can use to its advantage. We have a huge reserve of green forests and the ocean. Focus on green hydrogen, renewable energy, energy storage, green mobility and manufacturing, along with fisheries, coastal tourism and ocean technology. And finally, under the Sapta Sindhu clarion call is also India's focus on soft power, yoga, Ayurveda, holistic healthcare, culture, India's film industries, spiritual heritage, all these are to build India's global influence. The Sapta Sindhu clarion call, those are the key components of it, and Prime Minister Modi, of course, spoke about these. I, of course, now want to steer back for a discussion on this with our guests. Wing Commander Sudhakar, and I want to come back to you on these and renew my initial question. These 7 focus areas that Prime Minister has announced under the Sapta Sindhu program, a call that he is given: focus on soft power, manufacturing, defense, technology, innovation, agriculture, food products. What are the small and the first steps that we should take?
Particular clarion call, and I would not mince my words, though I may love Modi for whatever he is. If we cannot call it for what it is worth, then we will be committing the same grave mistakes that our forefathers did. Let me explain this to you. I stopped at the cockroaches before, in my last session, and I would again pick up the threads from there. Why did this happen? This happened because you never controlled the information narrative. If you aspire to be a superpower, then the symbol of a superpower is your ability to legislate. You couldn't legislate the farm laws, which was one of the exceptional laws, ever taught in Indian history. You couldn't do that. The FCRA bill, there are congressmen in America today, they are telling that India cannot do that legislation. That doesn't augur well for India. Please understand this. Look at where Imran Khan is there today. Where is the American championship for democracy? There is a man who's being slaughtered in Pakistani jails. Why? Because he called out the deep state and the West. Today, if you think that you are immune from such kind of an action, there are parliamentarians who are sitting inside our own parliament who are willing to sell you. Need to understand that. Facebook cannot dictate the narrative inside India. But unfortunately, the bureaucrats have sold the DigiLocker to Google, the entire information to Twitter, Meta, Instagram, and Facebook. Your entire digital advertisement narrative, you are funding the American technology to the worth of almost 90,000 crores. And you don't get this. And I've been telling this for the last 4 years. Your education reforms have been found wanting for the last 10 years. Your digital health mission has not taken up. We are saying that we are a power in AI. There is a saying in Hindi, Akal Badi Ki Bais. You are talking about rocket, warships, planes. You make a plane without an engine. The next generation of technology revolves around AI, get that straight. I will take you a step or two back and I will ask you one question. Had Iran been a nuclear power and indulged in a program in the 1970s, when it could have very well done, today would the Americans have dared to even throw one stone at them? The answer is no. The next big strategic technology revolution is happening in quantum and AI. And what is your investment? Less than $1 billion. And you are saying that you are a hub of world. Which fool's paradise are you living in? This country needs to wake up and smell its coffee. Let me tell you, today morning I saw a news. It again hurt me very much. America has asked the world countries to pick up sides between itself and China. Where is India here? If you are a world power, it should have said, pick up between India, China, and the US. You are nowhere in that scheme. In the name of AI, what we are doing is circus. We don't have control over the information narrative, which is core to building the intelligence. And that is something we don't have. We don't have one foundational model of any significance.
Yes, Dr. Kohli, you want to make a point, I believe, to that. If Wing Commander Sudhakar, you could allow him, please.
Well, I'm quite sad at listening to my preceding speaker that on a day when country is celebrating the 80th Independence Day, such kind of narrative and a negative and a pessimistic picture is being painted. It's a very sorry state of affairs, and we should all feel sorry about this. Because first of all, Kriti, this is Sapta Dhara, not Sapt Sindhu, the term that he used. The 7 streams that he mentioned about, they were Sapta Dhara. And I would like to comment about what he said, which was very important, which is we should focus on quality, we should focus on cost, and we should focus on scale. Because if we want to replace China as world's factory, we will have to work on the pricing, because of course, he did mention about the FTAs, the FTAs with 40 countries we are in dialogue, or we finalized quite a few of them as well. So I think if the Indian businesses want to use world as a market, we will have to probably improve on our quality as well. Because, some of these, for example, the FTA with the European Union, there the quality standards are very, very high. So we will have to ensure that whatever manufacturing that happens per year, it is up to the MSMEs and the industry to do it, that the quality is up to the mark, and cost is a huge factor.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to cost, the duties were putting our products at a higher cost. Now with the FTAs being there, our products have been very, very competitive. So I think this is the time, this is the opportunity which the Indian manufacturers and exporters should now capitalize on, that they should focus on quality, focus on cost, and they should also be comfortable with the scale. Suppose you are manufacturing 1 ton and there is a requirement of 5 tons, but your production capacity doesn't support it. So I think we should be prepared for quality, cost, and scale. Those are the 3 things which the Prime Minister mentioned. Now, see, what is important here, Kriti, which I would like to highlight, that government can be an enabler. Government cannot go into your factory and make sure that you're doing good quality. It's between you and the importer to ensure what is the deal between the two of you. So quality and cost is something which people have to focus on. This, to my mind, Kriti, was a very important thing out of the Sapta Dhara. And of course, for the farmers, food processing, if you are producing tomatoes, God's sake, get into tomato ketchup as well. If you're doing potatoes, get into potato chips as well. I think food processing is another important part of Saptadhara. Defense, my fellow defense experts have already spoken. Gati Shakti, we have been talking about green and blue energy, green and blue economy, we have been talking about, but soft power, it may appear to be very soft, Kriti, but then yoga, Ayurveda, this is one Indian gift to the world, which I think can transform the minds. I mean, look at what the global mindset is right now, thinking of your own interest, thinking of the Western interest. I think it is this soft power which can make the world think that this is Vasudev Kutumbakam. This is, you don't just work for yourself, you work for the whole world, Kriti.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for all those points. And I do agree completely with you, Dr. Kohli.